Yeah, I guess they got the casting right. The Fall Guy is directed by David Leitch, who made 2022's Bullet Train. He's also the uncredited director of the first John Wick film with Chad Stahelski, and he also directed Fox's Deadpool 2. The movie is based off of an old TV show, apparently. I did not know that beforehand. I didn't know it existed until I heard about it with this movie coming out. My dad might get mad at me for it. It starred Lee Majors. I don't know. Has anyone else heard of this show? Ryan Gosling plays this stuntman named Colt Seavers as he returns from a year's hiatus to a film set run by his ex-fling Jodie, played by Emily Blunt, as he is tasked to find the movie's big star who has disappeared, and he must figure out the mystery that is unfolding behind the scenes. I've enjoyed the director David Leitch's work. He has such a style that he definitely utilized in Bullet Train, and that's where I really got to see his sense of humor come through, because that was such a funny movie and was pretty great on action. There was just a lot of entertaining elements at play in that flick. David Leitch actually started off as Brad Pitt's stunt double, thus he knows a lot about the inner workings of action and stunt work, and can really add his own electrifying flavor to the action pieces in his movies. And with this movie, it is straight up a love letter to his roots in Hollywood. Stuntmen. We really get to dive into the life of a stunt double and see the behind-the-scenes world of Hollywood action blockbuster filmmaking. You feel some type of, albeit glamorized, sense of what goes on in the making of an action movie. This really is a reflection of David Leitch's experience as a stunt performer, and this focus on movie sets and the making of world allows the movie to go pretty meta in subtle and not so subtle ways. First, I gotta commend the movie on the editing and cinematography. The cold open is done in a seemingly long single take, which I'm sure they cut corners in making it look this way, but it feels really immersive and is really well done. It pulls me right into the world and sets up Ryan Gosling's character Colt Seavers as the person we will literally be following throughout the film, as he does all the different stunt checks and talks to all the characters we're going to end up seeing in the movie before doing a death-defying stunt. David Leitch plays around a lot with different fun technical feats like this opening single shot. A favorite of mine being Colt Seavers and Emily Blunt's character Jodie discussing the movie they're making on having a split screen sequence and if it's tacky or not. And as they do this, the screen is split and the movie plays around with the split screen as both characters mimic each other like a mirror, and it is so fun and entertaining, and I think is a pretty creative way to play out a scene. There's another hyper-stylized sequence where Colt Seavers gets some drugs in his system, and the world becomes cel-shaded animated as he fights and chases a target. It is just another creative moment amongst great creative sequences. It even sets up the visual language of a unicorn being somewhere in the scene means he's still running off that high, and the way it shows up in the following scenes is great, though a little strange. Like, I wasn't expecting such surreal moments in a more practical, grounded stuntman movie. But I just love the creativity in this picture. I think this film feels like it has the most fun being a movie and playing around with all the parts that make up a film, especially for a more mainstream outing. I really like the plot about Colt Seavers returning to the world of action movies by being the head stuntman of his ex-girlfriend Jodie's production of a bonkers sci-fi action movie that honestly has some shades of Doom thrown in it. It's pretty fun. Him then having to figure out this behind the scenes mystery since he's a stuntman and no one will notice him is great, as I feel this movie is good at balancing its romantic story and action thriller angles very well. It's truly a great balance of comedy, romance, and action. Though I might see some thinking it leans too much into two of those three categories or just one, I still feel like it's balanced pretty well and it's pretty entertaining. The action is fantastic and very fun as you get to see all the choreography and the set pieces are technically sound. I like the approach to the action being a bit different from the likes of John Wick, where instead of being like an unstoppable force, Colt Seavers uses his body a lot to take hits, and his endurance as a stuntman is what actually helps him overcome his enemies. It makes for a pretty creative fighting style for a main star, and I think watching it unfold is a blast. And I love to see all the scenarios he's thrown into. I felt the way they handled the movie stunts felt pretty real, and the lingo they used really highlighted what stuntmen actually deal with and how they execute these feats. Side note, there is a lot of film jargon in this movie. Like, it feels very behind the scenes, and I like that part about it. But back to action. All these stunts are practical and in line with traditional stunt work, so mostly everything we see is real, which is pretty awesome. Again, this movie is such a stuntman love letter from David Leitch, with the opening scene highlighting stunt works from other movies, some of them being Leitch's previous movies, like The Atomic Blonde, and touching on what stuntmen do and all the work body doubles and other positions on the team go through. This movie raises its glasses for stuntmen everywhere, and is definitely pushing for that Oscar category to finally be established. Ryan Gosling is so fun as Colt Seavers. He pretty much feels like an extension of his performance in Barbie. Maybe it's had more grounded though, which I loved. So his witty delivery and unsure everyman personality was a welcome return. Emily Blunt is fun as Jody Marino with her more serious, self-sufficient director role. She holds this grounded personality while still being able to open up and be more fun, jokey at points. And Blunt is just so good at making her feel like a real person as she shifts through the spectrum of these personalities. I think Blunt and Gosling's chemistry is what really shines in the character field, as I felt their dynamic was absolutely perfect. Like, I feel like these are perfect characters when they bounce off each other. They feel like such a real couple and have a genuineness between them. They have the fun bantering moments, but also the quieter, real moments and everything in between. The writing and acting for these characters are fantastic. They're probably my favorite couple in a movie this year, though there's the Dune couple. I don't know. Well, you'll see on my top 10 couples of the year video, right? That's what I'm going to do. Aaron Taylor Johnson returns from the director's previous film, Bullet Train, and he's fun as the slimy, stereotypical big shot actor that's really a rich boy wuss. He definitely sells that arrogance well, and he is a pretty cocky, charismatic fella. I also love the character writing bit of his character remembering everything by sticky notes, which makes for a fun location in the movie. I do wish he was in it a tad more though. Hannah Waddingham, who I know from Apple TV's hit streaming show Ted Lasso, I highly recommend, plays the overbearing producer of the movie production, and she has her funny moments. She has a lot of snarky quips and is a no-nonsense type of lady, and Waddingham fills in the role great and kind of elevates the character. I feel could easily have fallen between the cracks and could have come across as too overbearing or, just a tad annoying. I don't know. Lastly, I wanted to touch on Winston Duke, who plays Colt Seavers' buddy and stunt coordinator, Dan Tucker, aka M'Baku from the Black Panther, and a dog named Jean-Claude as the best side characters. I wish they gave Duke a tad more to do because I really like him and his character was fun quoting movies with Gosling and their dynamic was just great. And then Jean-Claude got a lot of fun moments in the action as well because he's like this dog that can attack people and is actually considered one of Colt Seavers' past co-stars, which is great. Those two characters are hype. This movie is pretty funny and entertaining. There's a lot of good bits and moments that hit. That being said, I feel like there were times when a few of the jokes didn't hit as hard as they could have. Like, there were no real misses, I feel like, or any that fell flat, pun intended. And all of them were at least entertaining. I just think there was a few that could have been done better or hit harder. And again, when the humor hits, it hits, at least for me. Which leads into one of the problems I have with the movie, which was some of the scenes lingering a little too long. For the most part, I thought the pace was pretty consistent, but there were several moments, not just on jokes, but especially on jokes, that it felt like the scene began to drag on and stay longer than it needed to. Like, we get the idea, move on. The scenes had definitely made their point, and it just felt like it kept on going. Which, I mean, the movie must be still pretty good if that's my chief complaint. The Fall Guy is an incredibly entertaining movie that has all you'd want from a summer blockbuster. Fun characters, an actual awesome romance portrayed between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, intensely fun action, and a lot of great character comedy and good writing. I think David Leitch has delivered an amazing non-superhero blockbuster that celebrates stuntmen and gives so many creative angles and filmmaking styles. Only wish they could cut some of the scenes shorter and get to the point faster, but it might be my favorite traditional action movie this year. And with that, I'll give it an 8.7 out of 10. So have you fallen, guy? Will you fall over again? What was your favorite fall? Fall Guy fall tier list coming soon. Also comment below and like the video and all that, please, and ring that notification bell. You know, do all the YouTube stuff you hear all the time. This has been another Fallen Guy, saying it's about time they made this movie.